So you've been watching the fantastic Seria. That's fantastic. What a lovely voice. Great songs.
Oh, thank you so
Thoroughly
much.
enjoyed. But let's get over with some little bit of housekeeping that we always have to do. So fire doors are open. No. I always say this. Please do like and share this as widely as you can, because the important thing is to get this music out to people so they can see it far and wide. And I shall talk to you about far and wide in a moment. You've had a number of people watching you, and these include, I'm going to give a shout out to Greg Hancock.
Oh, hi, Greg.
Charles Natnanis, JJ Wild, and you mentioned earlier about New York.
Yes.
David John Burgess, your cousin.
Oh, yeah, my cousin. That was my other half there as well, and my cousin. So that's good to know that all my family are watching. So
Tuning
it's great.
in.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I always do a bit of research into my guests.
Oh, do you?
Before I kind of
what did you dig up?
Well, I did. I kind of thought, okay, fine, hang on. So where's she been? Oh, New York. I'll talk to her about New York. No, you've already talked about New York, so we won't talk about.
Sorry. Ruined it for you now.
But so the idea of this part of the show is to try and get to know you a little bit about yourself. Obviously, we know you're from Exeter. Yeah. When you're at home, when you're relaxing, when you're not thinking about writing.
That's hardly ever.
Well, yes, I'll come on to that in a moment. But what are you listening to? So what's your...
At the moment, I've got Ashley McBride.
Yeah.
I've got the Shires. I've got so many. Oh dear. Glenn Hansard's new album.
Okay.
I've got so much to listen to, and to be honest, it's hard to get the time to sit down, because I like to. The first listen I do with a new album, I like to sit down and put the ears on, and really get into it the first time, so you can just.
So that's listening to music properly rather than just going, oh, I love that track.
Yeah, I do try
track.
to. Yeah, I like the whole album in sequence.
Yeah.
So I wait until they're released as an album.
Yeah.
Rather than waiting for each download as they come, I kind of wait for the album.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. You listen to the album in the way that it was meant to be listened to in the first place.
I'm old-fashioned.
Okay, fine. And influences, because obviously you've got a very strong country sound. I can hear little bits of Fleetwood Mac in there.
Oh, really?
And,
yeah.
Other bits. So who are your influences?
Well, I mean, I'm influenced by everything I listen to, I believe, and it might not come out sounding like those people, but I believe that every person I listen to has an influence on me,
right,
on my writing and on my playing, and especially the people that I've followed for years, like a show of hands from down south as well.
Yeah.
And people like Josh Groban. I mean, I've listened to him for years, and he's nothing like what I do, but it all influenced me into my writing,
Yeah.
But I suppose people that I first started getting into country, and it was Trisha Gearwood, and it was Martina McBride, Garth Brooks, and it was all that kind of thing, and I loved all that 90s country.
I was going to say, I hate it when they put labels on, but new country, wasn't it? Or
new
old
country, yeah. Well, I like new country. Yeah, I'm not afraid to say that I like it. It's,
all right, and going back then, sort of to older sort of country styles, are you influenced by sort of any of the older, more traditional country styles?
Not so many, no. I mean, if they come on the radio every now and then, I kind of think, oh, that's actually a nice song. But to be honest, I quite like the newer production of things. Yeah. I don't quite like the older twangy country quite so much, but I'm all getting into people like Willie Nelson nowadays. You're
going back to the old
keep going, going back and hearing things. And you think, oh, this might be worth a listen.
Well, something I was going to talk to you about was, how you go about writing and your writing style and everything else. And fortunately, you'd already mentioned that during the set itself. You said something about writing the song or coming up with an idea whilst you were vacuuming.
I know, yeah, all different places, but yeah, that was Roadie that I wrote when I was vacuuming. Yeah, that was
strange.
It's strange, but because it's so, you don't need your brain for it. It leaves everything up here quite free.
Well, it does bring us quite nicely then into the question of so how do you go about writing? Because obviously you've got two options. You can either think, okay, fine, there's a nice set of lyrics, let's see if I've got a tune that will fit that, or I would imagine if you're vacuuming, you're probably humming away and thinking, hang on, wait a bit, I must stop this vacuuming and write a song.
Get the phone out and start dictaphoning it.
So what's your process?
Well, it always used to be just an instant song, just came about, just words and music together.
Oh, okay.
But I'm kind of trying to train myself to be able to do it in different ways nowadays. So I can, like I did with the song in the back of the camper van when my other half was surfing. I mean, I sat down, I wanted to write a song because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to look out at the sea and write a song. And, I thought it wasn't about any personal experiences, but, I wrote a song. And that, it came out okay. So
yeah.
I could kind of do that now, whereas I didn't used to be able to do that. It used to be, it had to be from all my, all my failed relationships and things,
All my failed relationships.
Not all, but, a few I've had.
There's a whole load of men out there going, what, really? She's talking about me?
Could be, you never know.
Now, you mentioned about production and the way things are produced and etc. Now, Richard... Digby Smith. How did that all come about? What was that all about? How did you sort of get to meet, and how did he get to produce you? Bearing in mind, the history of Led Zeppelin 3 and 4, which are two of my favourite Zeppelin albums.
Yeah.
But he's also been involved with London Symphony Orchestra, and obviously Marley.
Yeah, loads of stuff he's done.
So how did you get to meet him?
Well, I really wanted. I had a group of songs that I wanted to produce, and living down in Devon, I mean, there's not many record producers actually around. So I was asking around friends to see if they knew anyone that would produce my music, because I thought I just want to get it out there, Yeah. And he worked at the Music Mill in Newton Abbot, which is no longer, unfortunately, but he was based in there, having come back from London, and just got on like house on fire, and he did a great job of my first EP, and we just carried on, we just kind of carried on the flow and did another album after that. So
fantastic.
So yeah.
Now, I mean, obviously, the producer can be very much part of the whole process. You have some producers that are, very, their own ideas. They want to kind of imprint it on the artist that they're working with to effectively create the sound that they're trying to create, and you're thinking, no, I need to pull that back from that. How did you manage to sort of work with him on that? I think
because I'd never experienced it before on the first EP, Broke Away. Yeah. I just let Digby kind of get on with it, and I said more like if I didn't think it was my style, I sort of said, but I just kind of let him do his thing, and it worked out brilliantly. The second album we brought in musicians, so then it became a little bit different because it was kind of directing the musicians in a different way rather than just letting Digby do it, on his computer and things like that. So it's kind of a different way round the second time. And the third EP was similar. Musicians came in and recorded their bits, and we did it in that way. But I had more of an idea then. I had more of an idea what I wanted. It's fixed in my brain now. When I write a song, the production's already there.
Okay. All right. And
do
you, when you're writing and you're thinking, okay, fine, I'm going to be recording this, are you thinking guitar and vocals, or are you thinking the whole band and how everything is going to fit in together?
Yeah, usually the whole band. I'm thinking.
Right.
I like a bigger sound. I like doing the acoustic gigs, but I like something else even if it's just a keyboard player or a bass player with me, just to
change the dynamic.
Edge. Yeah. So I'm always thinking about those other things.
Well, you've given me a lovely little prompt now into my next bit, which is shop time. No, but no, we're talking about you talked a little bit about your albums. So what do you have, and where can people buy them?
They're all on Shopify. Shopify, you put me off then. Spotify and iTunes and everything like that. And does anyone do Deezer? But it's on there, and it's on all those kind of things like that. So
I'll just look knowledgeable for
anyone can stream it from any of their streaming sites that you use.
And physical copies, can people buy physical copies from you?
Yeah, usually just at gigs, really. Okay. That you can buy. That was then through my website. Yeah. But I haven't put the EP on it yet.
Well, I just thought I'd add that in, for the sort of older people there that like to kind of buy something and go, do you know what? I've got one of these, and I'm going to put it into one of these rather than download it and...
I much prefer it, because you've got everything, and you can't see the album artwork nowadays when you download something, can you?
You see, I've just done a really good job on selling it, so please do go and buy.
I work so hard on the artwork.
And that brings us to a lovely little queue as well, because we've talked the album stuff through, which is great, where we can pick up on it. Where can we see you? Where are you playing?
Well, this is the first night of my little tour, actually, that I've got going. So yeah, this is the first night, everybody. So we've come to all of the towns rather than just one town. Where's my list? Oh, I've got Glastonbury coming up with Greg Hancock and Alex Seal. That's a songwriters round.
Yeah.
So that's coming up on the 20th of March.
At Hawthorns?
At Hawthorns,
yes.
Yeah. You've been reading up. And then into April, I've got a country festival which is sold out. And I've got Burnham-on-Sea on the 16th of April, which is Ritz Acoustic Club, which used to be an old cinema, which is a lovely venue.
Lovely, yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice. And Exeter on the 18th, which is the Bridge Inn, famous Bridge Inn, which has been there for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's a great venue.
Oh, right.
So that's the 18th of April. And then on the 25th of April, Folkestone. Folkestone?
I was going to say, so yes, West Country, Kent.
Yeah. Bit of an oddball up there, yeah. Just, somebody decided to put an event on and put me on there. So
fantastic.
And
it's funny because, again, when you were talking earlier about Glastonbury and you must go and this, that, and I was expecting you to say, and of course I'm playing this year at the acoustic stage.
Not yet. I mean, there's still time. I've entered the competition.
No, you bought tickets.
I've gone the old fashioned. I'm not going to jump the fence. I've bought the tickets. So, yeah.
Well, that's fine. Now, the question that we discussed earlier on,
yeah.
I'm now going to throw that one into the ring. Okay, so you've obviously been doing this. You've built your art and your trade and everything else over the years. What advice would you give to a young person starting out in this and say, okay, fine?
I think the main thing for me is if I could go back, I would start a lot earlier.
Okay.
Even though I started gigging when I was 15, 16.
Yeah.
I wished I'd gone in for the songwriting a lot earlier and had the confidence to perform my own songs a lot sooner.
Yes.
I kept them hanging around. I was thinking, I don't know if they're good enough to perform out, and I kind of delayed that for a long time. So I would just say, just get out there, just sing your songs.
I would agree. Actually, that's a really good piece of advice.
Because I think. I wished I'd. I'm a bit of a late bloomer, really. I wished I'd started a little bit sooner. But anyway, I can't change that now. I just got to keep going and stick with it. And
yeah.
But yeah, I think that would be the first bit of advice I would give. And
I was going to say that's a really good bit of advice. I say that to my daughter. I say, I'm 58 and I'm fronting a band now at 58.
Yeah.
And I'm saying,
nothing,
do it
anyway.
whilst you're young. So
yeah.
I think it's a really good piece of advice. Right, I'd like to thank you very much indeed for being with us.
Thank you.
Social media. Let's just finish up with that.
Yeah.
I know you're on Facebook.
I am. Sario
Twitter.
Singer-songwriter. Twitter at Sario Sings.
Yeah.
And Instagram at Sario Sings. So
okay, that's
the same
fantastic.
address for both of those.
All right, easy to find.
Love
so
to have you on board, so please come and like me.
And yes, indeed, please do like and share. Go to Sarah's page, like her page. And I've been Carl Sutterby. You've been watching Sarah Yo. A little bit of advertising now. Ka-ting, advert. Tomorrow night we have the Savage Underdogs playing, who are a fantastic band. You will thoroughly enjoy them. Very, very different sound to what we've had tonight. Punk and roll, I think, is what kind of where they're heading with that. So fast and heavy, if you like it, fast and heavy. Tomorrow night, Savage Underdogs. I've been Carl Sutterby. You've been watching Sarah Yo. Thank you very much indeed, and good night from us at Visual Radio Arts and Soundcheck.